All right, everybody. I want to thank you so much for joining us on this rainy evening to wrap up Maryland School for the Blind's Career Strand activities. And we are so fortunate that we have some experts here from APH's Connect Center. We have Richard Ruda, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background information. He began his career in 2001 with the state of California's Department of Rehabilitation as a vocational rehab counselor. Since 2010, Richard has worked in leadership roles directing transition pre-ETS programs across California with leading nonprofits. In 2020, Richard joined the APH Career Center managing Career Connect, a well-respected interactive resource for job seekers. As assistant director, he works with a team of dedicated professionals promoting critical life-changing tools and supports. Another special guest we have is Lori Sharp. She joined the APH Connect Center in 2010, and she focuses on content related to careers and employment. Lori holds a master's in vision rehabilitation therapy as well as a master's in social work. She became a work incentive practitioner certified in 2012, where she works with people entering or returning to work following becoming disabled. She also spent 19 years as a social worker in New York, working with families facing crisis situations. She resides in Virginia with her family and our guide dog. And then finally, last but not least, from Family Connect, we have Melissa Matthews. She started her professional career as a general elementary educator with a focus on early childhood. Since then, having two children with albinism, her career and passion shifted. She began serving families who were raising children who were blind or have low vision through early intervention. Furthering her passion and knowledge and becoming a TVI was the next step in Melissa's professional career. Since then, she has become very passionate about teaching self-advocacy skills, ECC skills, and transition skills, all at early ages. As a parent whose children are just about transition age, it is more important than ever to help them and others to know what to do now to prepare for a successful future. So I'm so excited to have this wonderful group kind of tell you about some of the resources that are available on the website. I'm going to do a little plug for my favorite. It's Transition to College Program Activity Guide for students who are blind or visually impaired. And this is getting updated. It was already pretty awesome at the beginning. I found it to be just so user-friendly and very helpful to a transition student I was working with. But now, oh, and just real quick, if you have any questions, just pop it in the chat and I'll be checking that out. And let's go ahead and take it away to the team.
So I'm Melissa, as Jackie said, and I'm so excited to be here with you and share some amazing resources and activities. I kind of look at this through the lens of two audiences. You have your student that you're potentially working directly with, and then indirectly is the family. And what are some things that you can do with both audiences to keep them engaged and prepare them for life after high school? So on our website, excuse me, hold on. I have a really cold I can't get rid of. On our website, we have a ton of resources, and I'll put those in the chat. But one of my favorite things that we really focus on is really that teen age years, and having a 12 and a 14-year-old, we are right on that same era. So we have articles that are about flirting and dating, as well as transitioning from the high school and the entire team and the roles of the team. I'm going to put that in the chat, and how you can support them online with social media. It is such a new endeavor. And I know that Lori and Richard will kind of also talk about how being on social media and networking is a huge piece of those next steps. But what can we do at a younger age to support them in making smart and safe choices and how they engage on social media? There's a lot of things on our website as well that are around kind of that emotional health and mental health of a young adult. That is always a challenge, and I think sometimes we overlook that because some children um, may be new to blindness or low vision, or like my children having albinism, they don't know any different. But again, as friends are getting licenses or friends are dating or these types of things, we really want to make sure that we are surrounding our young ones with all the support that we can emotionally and mentally. So there's some articles about that. What I really love, and I know that Richard and Lori will get into a little bit more of this, is when we start talking about independent living and some things that you can share directly with families. We have a section that talks about money management and talks about stress and all sorts of assertive training, as well as problem solving and social skills. And these are, you can't make it any simpler than reading it and doing it. And they are very simple activities that families can also do. So again, when you're having the conversations with the families that they, observe their child at home really struggling with problem solving, you can do some of this at school, but you're going to want that home support. And these activities are very easy to do, and families can apply the lessons throughout the community when they're out and about with their children. And again, there's a ton of resources. I'll put these in the chat, and I know that Jackie will share all of this as well. But there's a wealth of knowledge, but just know that some of these that I'm going to put in the chat are very easy to just give to families or for you to digest and work with a student. Because I think that's the hard thing, that with all of us having limited time and capacity, it really needs to be, what can I do and can I do it now? So those are the resources that I'm going to pop in the chat. But I know Richard and Lori have a whole lot more with transition age youth and preparing them for employment or college. So I will pass it over to them.
All right. Well, thank you, Melissa. Am I coming through okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, welcome everybody to our presentation. And again, please put questions in the chat and we'll field them. Lori and I have the pleasure of sharing with you information about Career Connect and all the cool things that are happening. A time-sensitive thing that I want to mention is a partnership we have with Guide Dogs for the Blind in California as well as in Oregon. They have two campuses. This summer, in August in particular, we're hosting our second annual Careers and Canine Connections. And you're like, okay, what's that? It's a lot of C's. Careers and Canine Connections is a 5-day retreat for young adults who are blind or low vision, ages 18 to 24, who are career curious and simultaneously interested in learning what it's like to work with a guide dog. So we thought about a year or 2 years ago that this would be great to put together not only an info session where students can come and learn about what it takes to be guide dog ready, but also to be career ready, to talk about careers. So we bring together guide dog staff at the whole Learning Center for the Blind. I'm getting that name incorrect, but it's in Sandy, Oregon, near the Guide Dog campus in Oregon. And we bring in these young adults and we share a week of information on what it's like to have a guide dog. So Jane and Jake, Lori and myself are there. Lori's remote, and we are all blind and low vision ourselves. So staff are leading this event, so staff who are blind, and influencing and empowering young people who are interested. Lori, you want to talk about some of the things we did during Careers and Canine Connections last summer?
Sure. So we explored job interests of attendees. We discussed resume writing, what goes in a resume, what goes in a cover letter. We did informational interviews, and all very interactive, but in a group type of way. We also did have students do little activities so that they were just interacting with our APH Connect Center website and gathering more information in the job searching process. And then we fit into the realm of careers. How does a dog fit in? I myself, I got my first guide dog between my junior and senior year in high school. And so I probably bored the kids with crazy stories, but it really, several of them before we would get started, would ask questions about a story I told or something like that. And I think it's important for kids or youth, I should say, the focus on the ages are 18 to 24. And it's important for people to be able to relate to us. And, I've been working dogs over 30 years now. So I've had a lot of experiences with dogs and, in various settings, both professionally and in the real world. And they really enjoyed getting to know like struggles that we may have, denial of ride share, things like that. We talked about all those different types of things. And then they get to actually care for a dog. They learn how to brush a dog. They have to take the dog out at night. They keep the dog overnight. And there's staff there to assist if need be, but they pretty much are there to only help if need be. But the job of the program, the goal of the program is to have the youth understand what it's like to really care for something beyond yourself. So our focus in that audience is individuals 18 to 24 who are job curious and also interested and who have the mobility and orientation and mobility skills to be able to work with a dog. So they also do get to walk while on campus at Guide Dogs for the Blind with a guide dog in harness. So that's in addition to spending the night with a dog that they're taking care of.
And that's
Um,
usually, midweek. So they,
yeah. And we do have a great blog written by one of our participants, as well as a webinar that we did with some more information. I guess 2 weeks ago, we did the webinar, and applications for that are due April 1st. So we
yes.
urge, students or potential participants, they do, I think, also need information from an orientation and mobility specialist. So that is important to keep in mind.
There's no cost. It's completely free of charge. And if you need, the student needs assistance with airfare, Guide Dogs is likely going to be able to assist with that too.
And the youth really enjoyed it, and I
did
think
we.
you can. We did. We actually joked that we were going to do like who has the best like funny dog story, but we never did that. We never got to that last year.
Right.
But it is important. It's not easy having a guide dog, and it's definitely a difference between a cane. And I think that's really demonstrated by one of our participants who wrote us a beautiful blog last year after walking with a guide dog and the very freeing experience. She said basically that she had never walked that fast with her cane. So it's a very different way of traveling and not something that you can very often experience on a trial basis, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lori. And again, this will be August 9th through 14th in Oregon. Students would fly into Portland, and everything would be taken care of for the next 5 days. Pardon me. Um, a couple of other things that are under the hood at Career Connect that I think we're really excited about and continue to be excited about include career conversations. Career conversations we launched in 2022. We are about to host our 23rd episode, which will be next Thursday. And what career conversations simply is, it's an hour-long interview, a conversation with a blind or low vision person who is in the workforce. And it could be people who are blue collar workers, people who work for NASA, doctors, lawyers, people who work as what am I getting at? Claire Stanley is an attorney. Nefertiti is a voice actress and does voiceover and does audio description. We had a Fitz Martin audio engineer. Is that right, Lori?
Yep.
Um,
He owns his
an-
own audio engineering company, and my favorite so far. Not they were all great, but my most interesting from a job perspective was the individual who is a mortician who is low vision. And that was just fascinating, listening to her story of getting through school. And, so it was very, very interesting.
Now, an hour seems like a long time, but really isn't. It's 15, 20 minutes of Lori and I and Katie interviewing this person. But the remainder of that hour is for you, the parent, the teacher, the voc rehab counselor, and the student putting in questions in the Q&A, asking follow-up questions that you may have. And we're having them share their real story, their challenges, their struggles of getting to where they're at, why they chose that job or why that job chose them, and why and what to expect when you're researching that career, because we want people to have an archive, and we have a library on YouTube of these 22 soon to be 23 recordings, and we want that to be an asset, a resource for students and for parents to watch. And it's up on YouTube. You can go there now and watch these videos, and I think by putting it there, it'll give another resource to practitioners and parents and students wanting that information. Anything else, Lori, you want to add to that?
No, I think that encapsulates it in a nutshell.
Lori, talk to us about employment connections. What is it and why is it?
Sure. So Employment Connections, we're doing approximately 3 or 4. We just started in the spring of last year. So we did 2 last year. We hope to get 3 in this year. And it's a topic related to employment. So the first 2 that we did, the first one was on disclosing your disability in an employment setting. And I discussed with Russell Schaefer from Disability In the various aspects of when and why you would possibly want to disclose a disability, and the different implications of disclosure in an employment setting. And then we did one on resume writing. But rather than a PowerPoint up on the screen, it was a conversation that I had with an individual who has over 30 years of experience doing resume writing and recruiting and things like that. So it was a good interview and very beneficial. And we have some plans for future ones. So they will focus on topics related to employment rather than actual areas of employment.
And thank you. College Conversations is another webinar we host where we bring together both practitioners who are working in the disability sector or college setting, as well as students who are currently in college or recently college graduates who can share, who are sharing their experiences about college living, college financial assistance, voc rehab, assisting them in college. So we take it from all angles, and we take a particular topic, each College Conversations, and we focus on that, and we make it a panel presentation. So students are giving their perspective, as well as the voc rehab counselor and or the person working in the college setting, whether it's a faculty member or person working in disability services, and it really gives the student interested in going to college a better idea of what to expect and what the reality is like. I think back when I was 16 and didn't have a resource like this and didn't really have any role models or older blind people who had graduated college to look up to, and didn't know if I was going to be college ready. So having a resource like this, I think, will better prepare young people seeking out higher education and what's that going to be like. And we've done, I just looked back today, we've done 4. We did 2 in 22 and we did 2 last year. And we're hoping to continue that, or we will continue that this year, along with Employment Connections and College Conversations. And again, we bring on students often from our student advisory committee who are committed to Career Connect and advancing all the resources, as well as students who are from various backgrounds, students who are attending large universities or a private college and or attending college part-time. And I think it's important to have that perspective. Lori, do you want to talk to us about the Job Seekers Toolkit?
Sure. So the Job Seekers Toolkit is a 5-section course. Currently, we are waiting for it to be uploaded to the learning management system. It's a partnership that we have with Insight. And so right now it's offline, but we hope to have it relaunched within the next month or so. And it focuses on everything from understanding what's needed and the importance of self-awareness in an employment setting, resume writing, um, developing resources and networking, um, are areas that it focuses on. It's got 5 different sections that it focuses on, and basically each lesson has several subsections to it, and they often have an assignment associated with it. And each lesson is less than an hour in length, I would say. And if you're doing the exercises as you go along, you're basically building everything you need to develop a cover letter, develop a resume, things to consider when looking at employment. What are some things that might be a challenge in employment, how to discuss things with an employer, getting along in a workplace.
Who are going to be your
So,
references? Who your networks?
mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
And so basically we've revamped that course, and it will be going live, like I said, within the next month. And so right now it's offline, but we hope to have it up within the next month. And we've modernized that, and hope that you guys will find it beneficial, and that it'll be beneficial to students. And it's something really, if a parent is thinking about, what am I going to do with my child to motivate them to think about employment, whether it be summer employment or employment once they've left high school and maybe have a gap year. It's
Mhm.
something that you can use to discuss with your child what are some things to think about.
Yeah.
Use it as a starting block.
I think we covered some of the high points. We also have the transition hub, which does link to, or will link to the job seekers toolkit, as well as it's a searchable database where you can find out what are some of the work employment, summer employment, pre-employment workshops that are out there for young people, and we that was initiated through a grant about 3 years ago. And the idea is like a directory, like a phone book. You can go to the transition hub and find out if there is something in your state or something across country that a student can attend for either a weekend or over the summer to get those independent living skills, to get those paid work experiences underway. And we're really proud of what the Transition Hub has become and what it's going to evolve into. And we're obviously working with Melissa, Lori, and I, and making that a very useful tool. The other thing I will say about that, or about Career Connect, is we are working with state of Kentucky and the state of Washington State, and are working with students in various summer programs, or students in orientation training programs, where residential programs where they're needing work experience or internship opportunities. And we're happy to say that we're working with those 2 states to give students who we interview internship opportunities. And it's remote. They're doing remote work for us, helping us find resources, helping us build a webinar, write blogs, and do various functions that can be done virtually. And again, it gets them a taste of the world of work, expectations, timelines, punctual, being efficient, and doing all those adulting things that you do to become gainfully employed and employable. So we're really proud of that initiative, and we're continuing that this year. So if your student, your child is looking for an internship, refer them to a summer program, a voc rehab center, and reach out to us. Often those internships can be paid through Voc Rehab, and then in turn we can give them that experience.
And we really do give them practical experience. Arushi, who was our intern from the Yes 2 program in Washington, oh boy, I can't remember. Did we post her blog, or did
Yes,
we hold it
it
for March?
I thought it was posted. I'll go back and look.
I can't remember because we talked about possibly holding it until March. So Richard will look because my memory is gone, I guess. But she really discussed, how it really was great. She, had some technology struggles. She talked about how she had to, get through that type of stuff. And we work very closely with the interns to make sure that they do get practical experience. And They kind of do have a peer to come to. Most of our staff is blind or low vision, or they work in the field of blindness or low vision. So we all really are, we're a small team, and we really are supportive of our interns collectively.
Jacqueline, are there any questions in, or
I
Melissa, is there
don't,
anything you want to add that
there,
you thought of?
there's no questions at this time. The chat feature, I can't figure out how
Or the
to.
Q&A, I think it's
I'm
the
disabled,
Q&A.
yeah, but there's no Q&A questions at this time.
I'm guessing, I see that, I know it's being recorded, but we do have 2 people who are attendees. If you have questions, you want to raise your hand, maybe we can ask you to unmute. If you want to ask us questions, we'd be happy to field. I mean, we can go on all hour, but I think we covered the highlights, unless Melissa, you have other things you want to cover.
And really, if I could just add, I always say we also have the Vision Aware, which is more for adults or people adjusting to vision loss. But like I always say, it's a great resource for people going into the field of work, because they may be thinking, what do I do in a social situation at work? Well, there might be tips on Vision Aware about social situations in your family, but those tips are going to apply in the work setting, and there's a lot of crossover of great information.
I just gave them the opportunity to talk. I changed the setting. So if Carlton and Judy want to ask a specific question aloud, here's the opportunity. Okay, it looks like they don't have any questions, but that's okay. You're answering them all for your
There you go.
presentation.
It's Carlton here. I don't have any questions, but I just want to say how appreciative I am for everything that APH Connect is doing and MSB.
Thank you, Carlton. Appreciate it. And I like your, I see your Bridges help desk on Tuesdays all the time. So glad you're putting out information too.
Thank you. We love it. And please let us know if you want to coordinate, or if there's something you'd like us to push out. We have our Friday finds, which are a little treasure chest that's open, and we love sharing great information.
Oh, there's something called Career Connect. You can share all you want.
I'll try to just put this together, a Friday find but if there's something special, but yeah, I can absolutely do a Friday find for Career Connect in general.
Yeah, I would say we're really working hard on this Career and Canine Connections. We had 9 students last summer. We have nobody applying right now. And we think it's because it's the only dates they could get that place was in August, but we're really not wanting to cancel it. So if you can help us promote that, that would be amazing.
I would love to. In fact, I just looked it up while y'all were talking, and my own child, Catherine, is frankly dealing with some unexpected vision loss. And I want to talk to Anna about if they want to go.
Please do. And we can answer questions.
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
And I think, I think really the East Coast schools tend to go back a little later than the West Coast schools. So that's the other thing.
Yeah, the Southern schools. So when I was I'm from North Carolina, and we always started after Labor Day, but mercy, nowadays they're starting in mid-August or even earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see
Yeah.
that.
My grandkids go back. I think it's like it's like the 11th or 13th or something like that of August. So
Laura, you're too young to have grandkids.
It's too hot.
Especially those attending school. But okay.
Yeah.
In the Northeast here, we do tend to go back closer to Labor Day, and part of that because of athletics, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you don't have anything else to add, I just want to give a huge thank you for all this wonderful information, and we have it recorded, and we know that we have you guys as an excellent resource. So thank you so very much for your time this evening. And thank you, Carlton. And our other guest, I think, saw we were wrapping up, so they jumped off. So we appreciate it.
Thank you for
Well,
having
thank you all.
us.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.